Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you are good, stay safe and healthy. So in this occasion, I would like to present my journal review for completing critical reading assignment. But before we jump into the main topic, let me show you a little bit background about me. So this is a little bit background about me. Then without any further ado, let me go to the main topic. And yeah, hope all of you enjoy my presentation. So I have already collected 3 journals that I got from Google Scholar, and I was looking for journals that have a research about teaching vocabulary method to EYL, or English for Young Learner. And these are 3 journals that I found. First journal has a title about the implementation of vocabulary building strategy in teaching English vocabulary to young learners. And the second journal has a title about a case study of using songs in teaching English vocabulary to young learners. And the third and the last journal also has a title about teaching English vocabulary to young learners through total physical response method.
First journal, the implementation of vocabulary building strategy in teaching English vocabulary to young learners.
Okay, and the next, this is for the introduction. As we could see, that learning English, there are 4 skills that should be mastered by students. They are speaking, listening, reading, and writing. But to support the mastery of the 4 language skills, the student should have well understanding of English components such as vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. And for the vocabulary is very important to be learned by the students who want to master a language. Okay, so in this journal, I've already pointed out 2 things that I could simplify after reading the journal. The first is, teaching vocabulary to young learners is not easy, because they are often more enthusiastic, active, and easily adaptive than adults. And the second, teaching English for young learners is different from teaching adults, because elementary school students are children who still like playing, so the teacher is expected to be imaginative and creative in developing their teaching strategy to make the English lesson more exciting. For your information, the research was carried out at Pesantren Dar El Kolam 3, which are located at Pangkat Jayanti, Tangerang. And for the subject, there are 2 subjects of the study in this research, the teachers and the students. Firstly, is the 7th grade students and the teacher who taught English vocabulary. Okay, and the next is the finding. I already pointing out 3 points based on the journal. First is the implementation of vocabulary teaching building strategies. For the implementation based on the journal is closely tied to the material taught by the teacher. Based on this journal, the material that teacher use in teaching vocabulary, it should be appropriate and can help students more easily to understand the materials. Jadi, dalam hal implementasi ini sangat berkaitan erat dengan materi yang digunakan oleh guru dalam mengajar. Kemudian dalam menyampaikan materi tersebut tentunya seorang guru memerlukan media. So, based on this journal, the media that teacher used to deliver the materials to the students are using picture, real thing, video, and also student English book. And the next is the technique of vocabulary building strategy used by the teacher in teaching vocabulary. Based on this journal, after doing an interview with the English teacher and also from the observation, the researcher found that there are some techniques that the teacher used in the teaching vocabulary. The technique that the teacher used such translation, memorization, playing games, and also sing a song. Okay, and the last is the problem in the implementation of vocabulary building strategy at the 7th grade. The first problem can be verified from the teacher itself. The problems make the teacher cannot teach their students effectively. The teacher's problem was in motivates and less creative in giving material. The second problems can be divided from the students. The problem of the students may be problematic because usually the students have more than one problem in learning English. Okay, and for the next is the conclusion from the first journal. Firstly is about the material. The material that used by the teacher are hospital, food and drinks, times, clothes and color, and thing in the living room. And then is the technique. The technique of vocabulary building strategy used by the teacher are translation, memorization, playing games, and sing a song. And then is the media. The media used by the teacher are picture, real things, video, and students' English book. Okay, so in my view, this journal is quite helping to developing such as what the media and technique that probably the teacher could use. But in this journal actually shows about the problematic during the teaching and learning vocabulary activities. But I still can't find the solution that should give to overcome the problems. So probably in the next research could be uncovering what solution could be used to deal with that problem.
Second journal, a case study of using songs in teaching English vocabulary to young learners.
Okay, and then here we go for the introduction of the second journal. So the first is teaching English vocabulary to young learners sometimes is more challenging than older learners. It's because of young learners' characteristics. Young learners tend to have limited attention. Moreover, they cannot learn better unless the learning is interesting, meaningful, and fun for them. Nah, dari penjelasan karakteristik pembelajar muda di sini, seorang guru dalam mengajarkan vocabulary bahasa Inggris harus mampu mendesain proses pembelajaran menjadi interaktif dan menyenangkan. And the next, teacher need to apply teaching strategies and techniques that can accommodate young learners' characteristics. As I mentioned before, that teacher should be able to design interactive and fun learning activities that suit to the young learner. Okay, and the next is one of the teaching techniques that can be used to teach English vocabulary to young learners is song. Based on this journal, one of the teaching techniques that can be used to teach English vocabulary to young learners is by using song. Hal ini dikarenakan lagu merupakan hal yang sudah menjadi salah satu bagian dari kehidupan manusia. Besides that, learning vocabulary using a song is very interesting and fun. Okay, and then we are going to the finding of this journal. So the first is the teacher divided learning activities into 4 stages. There are opening activities, main activities, follow-up, and closing activities. Based on this journal, the result showed all the students being interviewed were happy about the use of song. They were happy because they will enjoy the singing activity. Additionally, 4 of the students said that they didn't overcome difficulty in the teaching and learning process. However, there are 2 students claim that they had few difficulties. Moreover, all of the students admit that the use of song in the learning process can help them in better understanding the vocabulary. Nah, dari hal ini kita dapat melihat bahwa penggunaan lagu mayoritas mendapat respon yang positif dari para siswa. Okay, and then is in the main activities of teaching vocabulary, teacher using TPR method. Now, in this journal, the researcher found that teacher also using TPR method while teaching. Actually, this kind of method will be discussed in the third journal, but I will give a little bit explanation about it. So, TPR method is a method of teaching language or vocabulary concept by using physical movement to react to verbal input. Jadi kurang lebih TPR ini adalah metode pembelajaran yang mengajarkan bahasa melalui aktivitas fisik atau aktivitas motorik. Okay, and now we come into the conclusion. So the conclusion of this journal is: first, students' response towards the use of song was positive. And second, this study was far beyond perfect. The researcher writes that this study was far beyond perfect because there are some limitations found in this study. It included time limitation and budgetary. So, according to my view, this study are still could be continued to make it much perfect. And also probably we could try to have a research why there are 2 kids that found difficulties by using this method.
Third journal, Teaching English Vocabulary to Young Learners through Total Physical Response Method.
Okay, and next we are going to talk about the introduction in the third journal. So I got 2 points from this journal introduction. The first is teaching vocabulary to young learner is different with adult learner. Jadi seperti yang sudah saya sampaikan pada slide-slide sebelumnya bahwa dalam mengajar vocabulary there are differences between young learners and adult learners. And the second is total physical response, or we know as TPR, which was put forward by James Asher, is considered to be an appropriate and effective method in introducing and consolidating the English vocabulary to young learners. Okay, and then we're gonna jump into the finding of this journal. The finding from this journal are: the first is the participants in this study research consist of 62 young learners, which are 39 males and 23 females. They are 10 years old and 11 years old students who were learning at VUC. And the second is TPR method to teach English vocabulary to young learners actually had a great effect on young learners' vocabulary retention. This could be seen on the result of the post-test that the researchers shown in their journal. The statistic was increased after implementation of TPR method. Okay, and next we go to the conclusion. So the conclusion that I get from this journal are: the first is young learners' vocabulary retention could be enhanced by TPR. And the second, the findings suggest several courses of action for EFL teachers and young English learners. And the third is the study was limited in several ways. The limitations are the time of conducting the training experiment, and also there is limitation lies within the teacher's practice, perception, and own approach in teaching the English language. That is to say, not all the activities relating to TPR were solved during the treatment. Finally, the participants were only 62 young learners in only one side of study, so the findings may not be generalizable to other sides. Well, I have now come to the end of my presentation, and I really appreciate to all of you who watch my presentation till the end. Hope you are not get bored. And for your information, if you have any questions, you can drop your questions to the discussion forum. Thanks, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.